afternoon and welcome back to the GSA Executives Podcast with your host, Caitlin Ty. Today, it's a pleasure to have on Gauri Lamb, who is the CEO of FHP Group. Thank you for being on, Gauri.
Thank you. Thanks, Caitlin. It's a pleasure to be here.
So just to kind of get us started off, could you give me a brief background on how you've achieved the position that you're in today as CEO?
It's a bit difficult to pinpoint on a single event, but it was, I would say, a series of bold decisions that I've made through my career. I've had a lot of cheerleaders in the industry along the way, because without whom I wouldn't be here. My family, my friends, who have always given me a lot of unwavering support to where I am today. I'm an engineer by profession. I lived and studied in India. I did my engineering degree there, and then I came here to do my master's. I came to UK with 2 phone numbers to hand. One was of my uni and one was of the hostel where I was going to live. Yeah. Nothing else. So
Hope for the best.
Yeah, quite literally, it was before the time of WhatsApp and FaceTime. Yep. So, even I think sometimes, oh my God, how did I survive this? Yeah, it was the time of internet cafes. You go, you pay, you sit at a computer and you write an email to your parents. Yes, I've arrived. I'm alive. Yeah, I found the hostel. Okay. And off I go, kind of thing. Yeah, that was probably one of my boldest decisions at 20 something I was 21. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, to take that leap of faith. And it was weird because I could have gone anywhere else, but I kind of went for UK because I didn't know anyone here.
Okay.
And in a way,
wanted to make it a bigger challenge, obviously.
Yeah. It was more like, why did I think like that? But at the time, the thinking was, if I were to go somewhere where I knew people, then might as well stay where I am.
Yeah.
So, to go and experience something for my own and challenge myself a bit, that felt like the right decision. And when I speak now to groups and stuff, I always say being comfortable with the uncomfortable is where the growth happens.
Yes.
And probably that decision sums it up really well for me. Following on, I did my master's, but I did a lot of internships during the period.
Right.
I never was the one, I did party, but not as much as the other kids. I would use my time to get my name out there. And, for listeners who are in that moment where they are thinking, what is the next step? Being seen, doing your work, being out there, getting your name out there is very, very important, where people can see you, networking in that way. And that's how I got my first opportunity. I worked for White Stuff, a clothing brand, and worked in there as a project assistant. That was my starting first step into the industry. And the portfolio was really small when I joined. The team was really small. I've been very lucky, by the way, as well. To answer the question is, I've always worked in companies on their growth curve. So for me, White Stuff was 18 stores. And then when I left, it was over 100 stores. So, I've got to experience the company growing, help them with the processes, help the organization with that success story going. It was the same for Hugo Boss. So my next job was Hugo Boss. It was again the same story. When I joined, they were taking on from going a wholesale business to a retail business. So we took on all the stores back and we made them into the Hugo Boss stores. And it started with a small portfolio and it ended up being the entire Northern Europe, which I was looking after. So, which was absolutely brilliant for my career. Moving on, at the period of time, again, someone who is going through this period might recognize I had a little boy. Traveling was a bit of a challenge. Cool. So I decided, I'm going to do a bit more of a UK-based role. So I joined Godiva, again, a growth area where they were launching their cafes, going from just being a chocolate business. And a lot of people might know Godiva with the dip strawberries, Yeah.
Of course.
Very delicious.
I know, very
And,
Moorish.
very Moorish was the, yeah. And
But it's healthy technically.
difficult to control. I put on a lot of weight because we used to have the celebrated chef Cherish Finden in the head office doing trials on Tuesdays, and she used to bring the tasters and
Couldn't say no.
gosh, yeah. But they recognized what I had done in the past, and then quickly I started getting involved in global projects. But I was like, oh, this is not the way I wanted it to go. But in the meantime, my husband, who is an accountant, was interested in starting an entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, maybe I can see what's out there for me as well. And that's how I got into M&A, mergers and acquisitions.
Yeah.
And I asked him, would he like to work with me? And we partnered up. We founded Iolus Capital, which is basically very much founder-led family private equity. We invest in businesses, and that's how my entrepreneurial M&A journey started. And now, FHP is a part of the family, and I'm the CEO of the company. So that was another bold decision for me as well, to kind of leave the corporate job and make a transition. Which was You
like to challenge yourself, to say the least, don't you?
It just. Do I look for challenge? Probably not that I'm actively going and looking for it, but it just organically happens. And sometimes you feel, let me see what's out there.
Yeah. What can I actually do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work out, you can always
learn from your
circle back.
mistakes.
Yeah, circle back, and you have got a good career behind you, so you can always go back. Yeah.
Exactly. So how come you decided to kind of pursue your career in the engineering sector?
Great question. I only say this because even when I was doing engineering, there are not a lot of women who at the time were doing engineering. I'm hoping the statistics are changing worldwide. However, when we go for recruitment, we still find fewer representation from women.
Yeah.
But it's changing. I know it's changing, not at the pace that we would like it to be, but yeah.
At least there's some change, yeah.
But let's not forget, I'm Indian from background, so there's a famous joke of, if you're not an engineer, lawyer, or a doctor, or an accountant, the Indian mummies and daddies don't approve. So
do you approve?
I'm approved. But it's funny because I'm a problem solver.
Yeah.
And I'm very solution orientated, and whoever is around me I jump to actually start solving issues kind of thing. And sometimes I have to take a step back, especially when you're working with teams. You need the teams to come up with their solutions. So that's a challenge for me on the leadership side. But I always liked repairing things. And this is not made up just for the interview. Genuinely, I used to repair my own bicycle. I used to repair my own computer. And, before the time of laptop, we used to have the CPU on the side and the big computer. And, you could open your CPU and toggle it a bit and make it better. And anyway, so for me, one side of my CPU was always open kind of thing. So for me, it has always been something I enjoyed. It was a part of who I was. And then when I did my 12th exams in India, you have got 12. I think here it's A levels after.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm still learning. So many years, but I'm still learning.
Next year for something that it's not A, B, and C anymore. It's 1, 2, 3. Goodness knows.
Who knows? Please don't change, because I'm just getting to know it. And so I did my tests and I got into engineering, but I just felt like, am I doing it for myself or just because the people expect of me?
Yeah.
So I went into this rogue denial phase. And so I had my admissions into a very good university, but I didn't go there for almost 2 months. I went for a course in biotechnology.
Okay.
Yeah. And everyone in my family would tell my parents, is she crazy? Tell her something.
Why isn't she doing it?
Yeah, why isn't? And it's really one of the best universities in India. It's very well known where I got in. It's very difficult to get in. But my parents, I have everything I am today, I owe to them. They didn't force me. They never said, why are you doing this? They're like, it's her journey.
Yeah.
Let her
They
take
were there
time.
to support you.
Yeah, exactly. And then my mom my mom says that it's etched in her memory the day I woke up one day and I said, enough. I think I want to be an engineer.
The craziness has stopped.
Yeah, just like, I don't know, and I can't remember it actually, but she remembers it because she was like, oh, thank goodness.
She knew, she was trying to keep it back to be like, come on, you really should.
And I packed my own lunch from the leftovers the night before and I went to the college. And my mom still says, like, that was before the mobile phones. And she's like, I didn't know how you were. You were already late, if they accepted you or not, because you hadn't gone for 2 months. And so until I came back in the evening, she had no idea what I was doing, kind of thing. So, yeah, but for me also, role modeling is very, very key.
Yeah.
And I have got my cousins who are very close to me, and one of them, certainly, who is older than me, he's an engineer, and I saw him. He traveled a lot, had new experiences and so on, and I just felt like I'm passionate about it, and I get to do all these cool things, hopefully, if I do well.
Yeah.
So that kind of spurred me on even further towards the next steps. So yeah.
So why not pursue it? I get all these amazing opportunities.
Yes.
And I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Why would you not?
Well, it took me a while to get there, but
sometimes
eventually.
It does. Sometimes you kind of do have to look to see what the other path might entail, just to kind of solidify your choice of going, no, that's not for me. Engineering, for example, in your case, is what I want.
Yeah, and it was my decision.
Yeah.
That's what I feel at peace with, that no one led me into it, where I can say because of you or whatever. Not that it means anything, but it just feels you're at peace with it, that it was me who led it, kind of thing.
Oh.
And taking agency.
So with obviously being CEO of FHP, what would you say are the most important qualities of an effective CEO?
Oh, gosh. It all depends on your style, really.
Yes, that's true.
So, and I'm a student, ever so much a student of learning. And I learn, it's not just that it's a title, it's a great responsibility. And I'm always looking at other people who are leaders, at what their styles are, what can I learn from them, and what can I do differently, which will give me a better result and give my team a better result. So it's always a process of evolution. The things which I value the most, perhaps, are communications.
Yeah. Definitely.
Very key. We are a people business. We are very heavily invested in people. Without the people around us, our friends, family, the people we work with, I mean, what would it be?
Yeah.
So for me, it's very, very key that the communications are very open, honest, and transparent, and the team understand where you're heading towards. What are the goals? And sometimes, that's the aim. Sometimes it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
So it's always a journey, but I think that's what good looks like for me. Communications, clarity of objectives for the team. So we know that people are pulling in the same direction.
Which I guess ties in with communication, because you need to communicate with them.
Exactly.
This is the end goal, end result that we are looking for. Yeah.
And is sharing of a vision for the team as well. Like, so that your vision for the company is aligned with the team's vision for the company as well.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing which most of the times the CEOs, if they don't do it, then there is a disparity.
Yeah.
And one of the things I learned I worked with Bernd Hacker, who is also, I've done a podcast with him as well, and he used to be the CSO of Hugo Boss. And the thing which I learned from him was empathy.
Yeah.
When he was the MD, or I was a project manager, a senior project manager at Hugo Boss. And then when he went on to be CSO, then my career took off as well. But even when he was a CSO, when he used to come back into the UK head office, he used to find time to have a coffee with me. I mean, I was like a few levels below him. And just to have that
Kind of
learning, personal touch. I learned that from him. And one of the things I still try and do is, if I'm on a site or something, I make sure I say hello to as many people as I can.
Of course.
And doesn't matter. It's not like I'll just say hello to a site manager or project manager on a hierarchy. No. Everyone on that site is working towards a mission, a vision of delivering that project.
Exactly.
And everyone has a job which is very important. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that is very key to follow on in your business as well. That every single brick, every single person in your team is doing that most important job which is necessary. If someone doesn't answer the phone, what happens? Everything is needed for that. So I guess just making people being seen and heard and having that empathy is very, very key as well. So does that answer your question?
No, I totally agree with you about the empathy thing, because it makes you kind of feel that you belong within the company, and therefore, because you feel as though you're being heard, you're more likely to be more motivated to do your job better.
Yeah, so. I mean, exactly. And I've not tried to give you the textbook answer in the sense that, for effective CEO, I need to know the cash flow and I need to know the numbers, and it's a given.
Exactly.
That's the crux. Exactly. So that's the crux of a job anyway. So I don't want to give a job description, but these are the some things which I've kind of picked up along the way from different people as to what, your job is to make people tick. Yeah. To bring the best out of people. Exactly. And that's what your job is. You're as good as your team, basically.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And to make that happen is what your job is, and the numbers and everything else will follow.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. If your team's happy, then hopefully, exactly, the majority of the time you'll get a good result from them. Yeah,
absolutely.
And so, what would you say is your long-term strategic vision for FHP, and kind of how do you inspire your leaders and staff to fulfill this vision?
There are a few things from vision perspective. Again, there are the numbers element of it, profitability and growth and so on. But I think there are a few regions in the country, which we have a clear eyes goal set up on, where we know there is a demand for. I mean, we are very grateful in the field we are in right now, because engineering is something every building in the real estate needs. The things we do are also in the retrofit industry, where we do work with new builds, but I think working with for me as well, value set wise, again, sustainability wise, working with the existing buildings, giving them a new lease of life just aligns a lot better, and that's where we are great at. And so for us, that vision aligns very well with the sustainable vision and goals we have got in the company as well. So growing in the sectors, in the areas where we are not yet, is the next big thing for us. And given awareness in the industry from the clients, from the people who employ us, with regards to what a sustainable building looks like, or people are more involved. It's still considered a bit of a dark art, M&E, MEP, and sustainability, but we are getting more and more awareness, and people are more aware that actually a lot of the budget for a project gets spent on MEP. So you need someone who is fighting your corner as a client side to make sure that you're getting what you're paying for. Yes. Because people don't understand, then, and nothing against, we have some brilliant contractors in the industry, but sometimes you get some people who will take advantage of, you will specify a light fitting and something else turns up on site, kind of thing. So, so
lack of communication.
Yeah, exactly. So, or just being naughty. So for us, having that is great. And then we know that there are certain areas and certain corridors we haven't. So we've got 6 offices, but there are still places where we could be and have a presence. So that would be one of the goals, to support our clients achieve their sustainable goals. So we have got what we realized as well is sustainability wise, we wanted a bit more engineering focused sustainability offering.
Yeah.
Rather than giving you a big report, we rather focus on giving you a report on sustainability with an engineering view where you can actually deliver it.
Oh, wow.
Because most of the times you'll get, put PV solar panels on the roof, and you're like, yeah, but it's have you seen the building? It's overshadowed by massive other buildings. You don't get sun.
They're not going to do the job.
No, exactly. Or so it's like sustainable, and the clients are then having spent so much money on the reports are actually like, but why can't I do this? And we're like, because when you look at it from an engineering perspective, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so we have to redo. So we like quickly have pivoted towards giving them like actual working solutions. So how we communicate to the client that this is available and we are working on it would be the next big thing for us. And then working on our key clients and working on customer satisfaction is a big one as well, because, growth organically with working with existing clients and working on bigger accounts with them rather than
going out.
Constantly looking for new work is probably the best way to grow your business, best way for team satisfaction as well, because they know they can see it in front of their eyes, how they've made a difference. Yeah. And the relationship and trust. So those are definitely the bits which we are focused on internally. And then with sustainable goals, we got ISO running last year, but there are some other goals we are focusing on, which would be very key for the coming years. How we pan out, we'll see which one become more important. But yeah, that's watch this space kind of thing.
Exciting things to come for you.
Rebranding is the other one, which is quite a big vision for me. And like any company, we have a massive legacy of 53 years now, and so it's a great tradition that we have on our shoulders. But also, I don't want this to weigh us down as a legacy.
Take it back. Haven't taken a back seat towards it.
Yeah, and to build on it, to talk to the younger generation. So that's the other thing which we are working on, where we want to rebrand it, where it is, attracting new talent. You know how difficult it is to get the right talent through the door.
Exactly.
So that's another thing we are engaging and working on in the background. So watch this space again. Then your question about how do you inspire the teams? I guess it's a bit more of a democratic approach in the way that we bring the teams together. We haven't done it this year because we are doing some remodeling within the team as well, but bringing the senior leadership team together, and we worked together what the vision is going to be and what are the key pillars. So it's not going downwards approach where
here's my idea.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what we're going to do. It's more that you guys are close to the clients as well. What do you think our clients want? Where are we? And what should be our focus? So we have a 6-pillar approach. We need to hone it back again for this year. We had a session early part of this week as well on wellness. So, it ties in with good at business, good at personal life. So we are working on that as well, where Sam within our team is running a session on mental health as well.
Mental health month.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a big session coming up for talking about it. Construction is awkward. About these topics, and there is this image of strong, macho thing, and highest rates of suicide in the industry. So why are we not openly helping each other, asking, are you well, are you okay?
I mean, it takes 2 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
And yes, someone may not want to say it face to face to be like, they might just brush it off and say I'm fine, but you're able to tell by the facial reactions that they're not fine. So just to pull someone to the side to be like, look, if you want to have a chat,
I'm here.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just no judgment, just a listening ear.
Communication.
Exactly. So for us, those meetings are very key, which gives maximum accountability for the team members as well. Coming together, discussing what the vision is, what the plan is. We have got also profit sharing for the leadership team. So team grows, company makes good, everyone everyone gets a share of it. And there's a happy medium there where people don't feel, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
I think, which is often
I'm
questioned.
working, but
For
not
who?
getting anything back.
Yeah,
from
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. I think living and breathing the value system myself personally also hopefully inspires the team to see, you have to walk the walk, whatever the saying is, and talk the talk kind of thing. So I feel like I think the greatest inspiration for anyone is when you see that your leadership is not just engaged on a surface level to tick the boxes. It actually runs. So I find
They're getting their hands dirty as well.
Yeah, exactly. Also, like, a lot of construction industry right now is when you're tendering for frameworks and so on, they want female representation or ethnic minority representation, and they want leadership to be involved in giving and community work and so on. And my team internally have a running joke, and because I've been doing this for years before all of this became an integral part of winning work and so on.
Yeah.
So they always tease me. They'll be like, who do we know who does that in the leadership team? Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it's the reason, and sometimes I feel very awkward when I talk about it on LinkedIn, but I've come to terms with talking about the things I do on LinkedIn or on professional platforms or to the teams sometimes, is because the hope is that someone else might see that, oh, she's a STEM ambassador and she goes and speaks at school. I can do it.
It's even if you just inspire that one person, the fact that you've inspired that one person to
think differently.
Oh, yes. I could do that. Do something similar.
Exactly.
Kind of
I didn't know this was an option.
Yeah. And just knowing that could even just help that one person, it's a great thing to feel. So no, I know how, as you say, it can be a little bit awkward to kind of talk about
to
post on LinkedIn and things like that.
I'm so not that person. Like you can ask my friends and they will always laugh at me because if someone asks me to talk about me, I just
shy away. Yeah.
I want the earth to open and me to fall in and it to close kind of thing. That's how I'll start behaving.
Yeah.
So it's anyway.
It's like when you get praised for doing something well, it's like, thank you. Yeah.
It was nothing. So actually one of the personal things for me right now is if someone says, oh, thank you, to accept a thank you.
Yeah.
And be okay to accept that. Because someone told me this, that, as much as you are awkward of receiving it, but it gives someone else the joy of bestowing it.
Yeah.
So don't take that joy away from them.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, I was so selfish in that way, I was thinking just I'm being modest and humble, and because that's how I've been brought up and all the right things. But then I was like, hang on a minute, that's such a nice way for someone who is showing up to give you that compliment, to take it and not that insulting, but accepting it and saying, no, thank you, I did want this, so thank you so much for acknowledging.
Exactly.
So anyway, we'll get better.
It's a process. I'm the same. So with being obviously the CEO, what is your approach to making big picture decisions, and are there any examples you could provide at all?
I've got a very different approach, and this might not be the regular answer you might get, as it were. I'm a very spiritual person, which means that when I have got big decisions to make, I will meditate on them. Sometimes if they're really big, I'll take some time. I can't, to the annoyance of a lot of people, I can't make very quick decision right away if it's a big decision.
Right.
So if you want me to think on my toes, I could, but it's not something I want to.
Yeah, you don't feel as comfortable saying,
I have to, and there have been times where I've kind of shut out my intuition and then I've been proven wrong. And so I've learned from that actually I need to take some time.
Yeah.
So either I'll meditate on it, I will take some time to go for a walk, and I'll think on it. I even the most important phone calls I make sometimes are never sitting down.
Yeah.
They are out on a walk. I'll be walking. I'll be just circling. And it's bizarre because sometimes I'm circling.
Just around the block.
Yeah, around
You
the
pass
block.
same people.
Yeah, exactly.
What
is she doing? Exactly.
But in your head, it's like, I'm just thinking it out.
And things are flowing because if I feel like I'm sitting down, so in most important conversations as well with people, and the people in my life who I've worked with know about this,
Yeah.
I will say, let's go for a walk.
Yeah. No,
Let's walk
I'm
and
all
talk.
about that. It's just being outside. I think
Exactly.
it just helps.
The energy flows because, or else I feel like it gets stuck.
Yeah.
If you're sitting in one place, hopefully you can blank that out.
Yeah.
So that, I think that's a bit unusual approach, but I feel like sometimes in business we don't talk about spirituality quite a lot because we want this hard shell,
It's the office job.
Numbers and
it's a yes or no answer sort of thing. Yeah.
There is never a yes or no answer. Most of the times it is, but there are always the nuances. And then for me, it has to feel right. Intuitively, and sometimes there are very difficult decisions you have to make, and then but what is the best outcome for everyone involved in those difficult decisions?
Yeah.
So that's what, and for that you need to take some time.
Oh, of course, because it's not just, with being the CEO, it's not just affecting you.
It's everyone involved.
Exactly.
So it's a bit of a different approach, but that's how I would normally I'll take time and meditate. I meditate every morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So before I start my day, I take time to breathe.
Yeah.
I do a practice of breathing, which is Sudarshan Kriya. A lot of people might know it. There's something called the art of living, and it focuses your breathing. And then it takes me about half an hour in the morning. And that's how I like to start my day. And the days I'm not able to do it, I feel so lost.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it really grounds me doing that.
Yeah, because I mean, I've only started just doing Pilates now, and I can, even in the past couple of months, just being able to, from the breathing exercises, I can totally tell how much and like how well it's affected me.
Yeah.
And like it's so positive in that sense, because obviously I'm not CEO, but such a busy person and always have something going on. It's just nice, as you say, having that half an hour in the morning just to kind of calm yourself and get ready
just for
the
you
day.
time.
Yeah.
Self-reflection, you time. I mean, so many times you don't have to be a CEO to feel like that, really. But it's so many times I feel you could be looking at an email and I forget to breathe, like really, like,
Yeah.
or you are having a very difficult decision or a difficult conversation, and I realize I've stopped breathing, or I have like clenched myself.
Yeah.
And then I have to like consciously take myself in, start breathing, and start like making my body a bit loose. And I don't know if people have that, but it takes work to realize that actually this is not my normal self right now. Let me bring myself back.
Yeah. Before I make any big decisions. Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's just relax.
Yeah.
Take us to go on a walk outside and then go, right, yeah, now I've got a clear mind. I can now move forward and
you will see things differently as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I think it should be talked about a lot more, especially because everyone's stress levels are increasing. So I think it definitely,
needs a conversation, right?
Exactly. Communication. So what would you say is your toughest decision you've had to make during your professional career? A lot.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right? Because you take any point in your lifetime and there are so many decisions you have taken, and at that point in your life it was the toughest decision. And now that I look back, I would be like, oh, what was I worried about? Why look at me now, kind of thing, with the decisions. But I guess the one thing that shouts out to me right now would be And there is a reason for it. I'm all about people, all about communities, and all about who you surround yourself and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was my first job at White Stuff. I had grown with the company. You know, the people who I worked with are still my best friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So yeah, one of my friends was my bridesmaid. Yeah, I was away for a break, and on the way back my first boss lives in Dorset, so I still, we had lunch with him, so I'm still in touch. So for me it was a family.
Yeah.
It was my family away from my family in India.
Oh, of course.
And
Yes.
so when the opportunity at Hugo Boss came,
To leave was like,
to leave was the toughest decision to make for me. It was, when I resigned, I was crying because I couldn't believe it, that I was very, it was like leaving nest, leaving that security where I knew people were friendly. It was still
it's your home with
exactly.
your family. Yeah.
I was renting an apartment from the owner of White Stuff. So, yeah, exactly.
It was
It
a
was
family.
really, it was
Yeah.
a family, and I was looked after. I always felt like people had my back. To go from that, because it's a family owned business in the sense Sean and George were still, and still are, the owners, and to go to a corporate job, because
Yeah.
Hugo Boss is very, corporate, great brand to work for. So to go from that secure environment to out on my own, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that was probably a bit unconventional answer for you. The answer would have been, oh, I did this when I was running a business or whatever. But actually for me, that was one of the most toughest decision for me, to
But-
leave the security behind.
But then I think in order to kind of progress with your career, it is
It
one
fe-
of those things that
Yeah.
you do have to do. I know when I left my previous business, I was in the same situation. I didn't want to leave the people because I loved working
Yeah.
with the people, but I also knew career-wise that it had to be done. And I cried when I left. I was devastated. Even, it's not like, as you say, like you're still friends with your old bosses.
Yeah.
Like one of your colleagues was your bridesmaids. I'm
Yep.
still friends with them and and I know I'll be friends with them for life, but
Like,
it's just knowing,
it felt like cutting the cord.
yeah, exactly. But it has to be done.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're not that you wouldn't have progressed there at all, but
Yeah, but it's
you
like
need new challenges.
exactly, and to see what's out there. I mean, the idea was different. It was a bigger company, so hopefully I get to travel a bit more.
Yeah.
And just to see if I can take the next steps, do bigger projects. And White Stuff was always a company which opened stores in market towns. So this was a lot more high street and working with big landlords and stuff. So it was a different kind of challenge. And so, yeah, but I think that would be still. And the second one, I guess, sorry, I know you didn't ask for two, but for me to move from a job to going in the entrepreneurship where, M&A, mergers and acquisitions, buying companies, it's not not a lot of women do it. So already you're breaking ground, then you're moving from corporate to that field. So that was another very difficult decision, that what if it doesn't work out? But again, it's
all these ifs and buts though.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
if it does work out?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's all.
Nicely put. Yeah, exactly.
You've got to think of it, the glass half full, rather than half empty.
Yeah.
So
So those were probably the most difficult decisions.
So kind of on the flip side of that, what would you say your greatest achievement is?
I think transitioning from a corporate job to owning and running my own business would be the greatest achievements, really. Yeah, the satisfaction, the learning. You make mistakes, but they're your own mistakes.
Yeah.
And seeing what impact you can have on the teams, and like business for good.
Yeah.
So through FHP, we are members of B1G1, and I was there yesterday. So we believe in impact-led business as well. So it's not just about the next project.
Yeah.
It's about what you give back. And so it's for me, I couldn't, well, you could do that on a, when you're at job and stuff as well, but to amplify that on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
The transition has allowed me to be able to do that. And for me, that would be the biggest success, really. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is a great achievement to have. It's very inspiring.
There is an article in Building Magazine, which was done last year.
Yeah.
And Dave, who wrote the article, was telling me he couldn't think of anyone, a lot of people who are women of color, who are owners of an engineering consultancy, and who are running an engineering consultancy. And whilst you don't want to be a tick box, because that's the fear for me, that you get categorized in a certain way.
It's like, I want you to choose me for me and the skills that I have, not
exactly.
just because I'm A, B, and C.
So you are a CEO of the company because you're a good CEO, not because you're these things. So there is that fear. Fear is the wrong word. There is always that thing that I don't like, which it comes with.
Yeah.
But at the end, if I'm talking about inspiring the new generation, be whatever you can or you want to be, then it's a nice success story to be a part of, where people can see, mostly, if she can do it, why can't I?
Exactly.
And to be able to have that to speak to other people about is, I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah.
Very grateful.
And I think with anything, with any job that you have, if you've got a passion to do something and you're motivated to do something, you will find a way in doing it.
Absolutely.
It's just having that motivation to get to that.
Get the next step.
Talk to people, network, and then it might take a bit longer than other people, but everyone's on their own path in life.
Yeah.
And if you put in the work,
it appears.
It will happen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how would kind of, throughout your career, how have you developed your professional skills, would you say?
I've always been a student of the universe, I would call myself, because if I'm not learning, I'm dead.
I'm the same. Yeah. I'm always wanting to learn more, even if it's not necessarily going to help with work, just learning about people, having conversations with people, just learning about, for example, doing this podcast with you today. It's so interesting to learn about kind of how you got to where you are.
Yeah. And that's literally absolutely hit there on the nail on the head. The same. Because it's very important to have curiosity.
Yeah.
Ask the questions. Don't be afraid. I mean, I've sat in meetings where I've had a lot of people tell me that they find it very difficult to hold space and ask questions because they feel like, what if people think I'm stupid?
I always say no question's a silly question.
Exactly. And so how have I done it? So for me, some parts of it have been very straightforward, where you have a succession planning in the company's corporate life. I did have it, actually, funny enough, in none of them, because both the companies were on the growth curve. So most of the things so because I didn't have it, I made sure there was a succession planning for example, at Hugo Boss when I left. So everyone in the team had a path where they
knew where they were going.
Yeah, exactly. What to do and what do I need to deliver that. And kind of but funny, actually. But so for me, some parts have been very professional. If you're in project management, you have the APM qualifications and so on, and Prince 2, and so you kind of find out what is relevant to your industry, and keep at it. What works for the job you're doing at that point in time. Finding out, speaking to your line manager, is this relevant for your job? They will mostly know and should be able to guide you as to, actually, you know what, this might work, but this might maybe do it after 2 years because this is a bit too much. Exactly. Right now, So I've done all of that. If you're asking me right now, it's a bit difficult right now for what I'm doing. But one of the things which I've been focused on is working on my mind. And I had a bit of a difficult year last year, health-wise. So, but for me, it was, my mind was something which helped me conquer that. And
Mhm.
that has made me realize what the power is up here.
Yeah.
And I felt like I've only scratched the surface. So for me, mindset and working on the mindset. So, and whatever I learn, I want to share it with the team as well as to what we can do with the right mindset, with the right attitude, and what doors open, how people treat us.
Yeah.
It's all working on yourself, and then the outward things follow.
Exactly.
So that's a part of my development journey right now, and that's what I'm trying to learn about. So yeah.
Yeah, because I think if you've got a positive mindset, it reflects upon your peers. Because if you say come into work and you look at things negatively with glass half empty,
Mm.
like obviously you're not going to go into a meeting and everything's going to be rainbows
Working
and
you
sunshine.
exactly. Yeah.
However, if you can put a spin on it so that at least people leave the meeting thinking, right, okay, I need to do X, Y, and Z, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, I have so much work to
Yeah.
do. It's
Yeah.
about kind of putting that positive spin on it. So
Yeah.
people
So
are still motivated.
yeah. So yeah, it's been a journey, and that has been my focus right now, because I feel like, especially for people in leadership, you being in the right mindset
Mhm.
and then inspiring, because that was your question, inspiring other people to have a right mindset, so to give a high performing team is very, very key.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my current learning goal.
Ongoing.
Ongoing. Yeah.
So you're currently a mentor at Mentoring Circle. What made you decide to do this?
We were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
So someone recommended for me to look at Mentoring Circle, and I reached out to Vanessa, and I think it was the first year. And Vanessa, who is the founder of Mentoring Circle, and she's so passionate, so driven, and gosh, she always makes me want to be a better person. And, to surround yourself with those kind of people is,
Yeah.
there is a saying that you are a summation, an average of the people you surround yourself.
Yeah.
And
I think as I've kind of gotten older, I really, really believe in that. Because I
yeah.
feel like if I'm surrounded by driven people, I'm more like I would say I'm quite a driven person anyways, but I'm even more so when I'm around kind of similar
Yeah,
people.
exactly. Because and Mentoring Circle gives you that platform as a mentor, because you are so Mentoring Circle, for the people who don't know, it is where women of the industry who have been in the industry for a long time, have seen a few seasons, are mentoring newer generation of young women into the real estate, construction, engineering space.
Mhm.
And it's a great responsibility for the mentors, as well as very fulfilling. So there is a bit of a selfish spin there, because, whilst you do that, in fact, sometimes, whilst you do that, you're learning on the way as well.
Yeah.
I'm learning from my mentees. They're absolutely amazing women. And I always, when I'm doing this, I always go, they will have their goals, and I tell them what my goals are for this year. So we kind of go on this journey together. But yeah, so to go back, Vanessa and I started to have this call. It was supposed to be half an hour, and then, an hour and a bit later, we were just like, gosh, this is
a day.
where were you all this time, kind of thing. And then it just went from strength to strength. So I've been a part of Mentoring Circle ever since. The values match, and just for me to have a place where there are similar women like me as well, who have
Yeah.
been in the industry. We have had the same experiences, good, bad, ugly, whatever you name it, mostly good. And to provide that to the younger generation is absolutely incredible. And having a sisterhood for yourself,
Yeah.
a safe space where we, outside of Mentoring Circle, I've got friendships, and now we meet for breakfasts, and it's amazing to have that. So
Definitely.
yeah, so it has given me a lot, then more than if anything I've given it to Mentoring Circle.
I'm sure they've got a lot of that out of it as well.
But no, it's a position I don't take lightly, and I'm grateful.
Oh, definitely. So with being kind of in a very senior position, with being the CEO in a very male dominated industry, how has this impacted you at all?
Hopefully very positively. But yeah, what I mean by that is that means it makes me more determined to make a difference.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can put it. And yes, it's a male dominated industry, but I've had a lot of men cheerleaders through my life.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Without whom and without their support, I wouldn't be where I am. Like I said, I was having lunch with one of them only a few days ago. Burn, for example, I still, we catch up very regularly. He keeps an eye on me of what I'm doing. And so without having those people, I wouldn't be where I am. So it would be very amiss of me to not acknowledge what support I've got from all these people.
Yeah.
However, again, yes, there is a bit of a gender gap within the industry I am in, but how can we make a difference? And the only way we can make a difference is talk about it, create opportunities.
Yeah.
And also look beyond what's facing you. So one of the things I always notice is, we didn't have enough CVs from women engineers when we were looking for a job role. So what have we done about it?
Yeah. It's about reflecting on. Yeah.
Exactly. So one of the things would be like, have we written a job advert in a way that a woman will find it easier to apply for the job? You know, there are certain ways you can make it very reflective of what you want. Or there are not many women engineers. Why is it? Then, okay, so we need to capture the kids at school. So we were talking about it earlier. This is one of my other passions. I go and speak at schools on STEM weeks. I'm a STEM ambassador. And I was at a school 2 weeks ago. I'm speaking at a school tomorrow. And just kind of addressing that image of Bob the Builder, construction industry. The kids have no idea what it means, because you were mentioning very rightly, if you don't have an auntie or an uncle or a mum or a dad who works in the industry, you don't know. No, you are seeing kids are perceptive. They will see builders doing roadworks or building the tallest building. What they don't see is, how did that builder, Bob the Builder, rightly so, how did that person get there?
Yeah.
What is the planning? What is a project manager? What is a quantity surveyor? All these amazing careers. I'm just scratching the surface, by the way, I know. An engineer, MEP engineering, what is sustainability? Why is it so important to protect our planet? They need to know. Yeah, exactly. And you can't be what you can't see.
Yeah.
And that is so relevant. Like for me, I was talking about my cousin being a role model. You need role models. You need to be able to see, this exists.
Yeah.
And I could do this, and it pays well, and it could give me a good social standing in life.
Yeah.
So, that's
getting that education out. They need to make more shows rather than just Bob the Builder. That's
exactly.
What they need to do.
Exactly. And so
quantity surveyor.
Well, it's interesting, because when I was speaking to someone from Department of Education, and she was, I'm hearing now a lot more that there are no people who do career counseling, not a lot anyways, because of funding cuts in schools.
Yeah.
So, but even she was telling me that the person who did her career counseling said, you should be a florist. So these, do our career counselors know what is out there in the industry, which is jobs? Because there are always, like she was telling me actually, which was very enlightening for me in the beginning, that industry has got 10,000 jobs for, I don't know, quantity surveying, let's say. But the career counseling doesn't know about it, and they would advise, you should be a hairdresser. So we've got 10,000 hairdressers coming out when there are only 1,000 hairdresser jobs, but 10,000 quantity surveyors. So it's like this gap between the industry and the school system.
Lack of communication. Yeah.
Exactly. But how you can't always point a finger at the government, or that's how I feel anyway. So in my tiny little world,
you're trying to do your kind of part to be like, look at us, there's jobs here. Yeah. These are the jobs.
These are the buildings we work in. We have worked in the Shard, we have gone to the Buckingham Palace, and to give them that touch, feel of what it means.
Mhm.
And to be able to, most of the times it's funny though, they'll ask me, what's your salary?
That's doing the right man.
I know.
Straight away. It's like, how much am I going to make?
Yeah, how much am I going to make? Which is quite funny because I asked the teacher, I was like, how do you answer this? And she said, just give them a starting salary of engineers. So,
And then say, obviously, progression.
yeah, there is progression and so on. But yeah, so sorry, answering your question, how has it impacted me? I think I would only say it has impacted me to make a positive change.
Mhm.
I always, it's not about getting your pitchforks out and being like,
Yeah.
you men or whatever. Like,
Because
no,
they
we
have
need both.
supported you. Yeah,
We
exactly.
need both.
Yeah.
It's you cannot.
Having that diverse culture.
And diversity is welcoming for everyone.
Exactly. Because
So
everyone has a different point of view. Everyone's from different backgrounds, and you need everyone to
everyone.
come together to make, because you're more likely to make the right decision.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, no, and kind of, well, I guess on the flip side of that, well, that's why it's so important that in a workplace you have to have diversity and inclusion.
Yeah, D&I is very, when you're serving communities, we do a lot of social housing projects and we work in hospitals, prisons, Ministry of Justice. So we're working in a lot of places where we're working for communities.
Yeah.
And when you're working for communities, you need to have the community represented in the companies as well.
Yeah.
Because then you have that way of thinking.
Yeah, because you don't know their knowledge or what exactly they need.
Exactly. And so
without that,
yeah,
they're not going to be fulfilled.
No. So it's quite an interesting one. Like I was reading a book, Range, a long time ago. A friend of mine, Rebecca, gifted it to me. And it's a beautiful book because if you only have a certain type of people, they'll only have a certain type of way of thinking.
Yeah.
And then you won't get out of the box thinking for solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do in engineering is solution finding.
Yeah.
Working with difficult building, especially when I say retrofit, it's like, you could be in a building where you're not allowed to touch the ceiling, but you have to build a kitchen in there. And how are you
got to think outside the box?
Outside the box,
Yeah.
Exactly. So how do you get that? So you get that with the range of people who come from different backgrounds and different skills.
Yeah.
Because if you have everyone's thinking in a similar way, you won't come to a solution because you will just be like a group of sheep.
Yeah.
Banging on the same wall.
And nothing will get sorted. Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's why it's important. It's important to represent the communities you're working for. It's important to create opportunities. That's why I'm very passionate about education. Education opened the door for me. Social mobility is very, dependent on education.
Yeah.
And to create those opportunities with education for social mobility and for everyone to have a word and have a part to play in the bigger picture is so key.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. So kind of where would you say FHP is in its D&I journey?
It's a challenging industry, construction/engineering for us, but we are making really good progress. And this is not me saying this today to please everyone who is listening to the podcast. We have got clear objectives, just for a starting perspective, women representation on the board. I'm leading the company.
Yeah.
Also within the teams as well, we have got a very diverse workforce and we still have got a lot to do.
As
I think we all do.
Any industry does.
Yeah, exactly. So we are, over 30% women workforce if we are looking at it from gender perspective.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go into more details of ethnicity and so on. But I would say that we have got a lot more work to do. And not just internally for us, but also externally in the community as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy with the way we are progressing.
It's never going to be an overnight thing.
No.
It's a process. But as long as kind of there's plans in place and there is movement heading in the right direction, that's the main thing.
Yeah, I mean, things like how do you remove biases when you're interviewing and so on. So doing training in that way. So we've kind of worked on that quite a lot as well. we used to have women in engineering breakfast, which because of, what I'm doing personally right now, looking for houses and moving. So I've not done it yet for this year, but that would be something I can start within the company as well. So yeah.
And even as you kind of said before about job advertisement, not just kind of having it for a male advert as such.
You don't even realize that, when I started looking into it as to how to change this, and I think we have remove the barriers by doing that, looking at the adverts, training the people who are interviewing that without having the biases and so on. It does make a difference.
And I think, it all comes down, I think, to education, because it's not, you weren't posting the job advert necessarily you weren't posting it thinking, oh, this is
No, you don't.
For men. It's, here's a job advert.
And
this is the person that we want. It's only when you've been educated, oh, this is.
Do you do a lot of work like that as well?
Yeah. Well, isn't it something like a car is being made for a man?
The seatbelt.
Yeah.
High-vis jackets.
Yeah. And it's
so
like,
many things I can keep
until doing this podcast, I didn't have a clue.
A paracetamol dosage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Clinical trials, because I speak to a few really leading doctors.
Yeah.
A lot of clinical trials are now actively saying that we need to trial this on women. And there is research. I can't quote research. I'm not good.
That's quite worrying.
So a dose for paracetamol, I know that I've read it, but I can't quote it. So apologies. But I know you can find it on Google. The dosage is different for women.
Well, yeah, because, the majority of women are much smaller than men. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so just educating yourself to kind of know that.
Do you know AI as well? Sorry, because Melinda Gates has got a lot of things, and I was going to say this earlier in the podcast as well, but actually she talks a lot, like if women are not represented when they are working with AI and how AI thinks, can you imagine AI will be thinking from a male perspective?
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And it's again, I don't want to come at it from a pitchfork perspective of male bashing or anything. It's quite the opposite for me. But I do want my son to grow up in an environment where, his partner, whatever it is, or in an environment where the society is happier in a way, and not frustrations on one side. Do you see where I'm going?
Equal.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Equality.
Rather than
one
perspective.
Yeah.
Whatever that perspective is, I don't care, but it shouldn't be one perspective being represented in something which is going to impact our humanity in such a large scale.
Oh, well, yeah. And for example, AI, it's only, who knows what's going to happen with that? Yeah.
Yeah. Pandora's box.
Oh, gosh, I know. So, kind of, what would you say are the long-term consequences if we ignore or fail to recognise diversity, inclusion at work?
Well, we just spoke about it, didn't we? Yeah, it's just missing out on the voices which need to be represented, because we have seen through history as well when one voice becomes louder. And what happens? It is not a great story, and we have lived through it time and again. So, I think that's probably one of the reasons why D&I is very important on every level, on every scale. To have a balanced view. Nature always looks for a balance.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a vacuum, it will try to fill. So we just need to appreciate that that's the way the universe works. And so who are we to work against that? So we just need to appreciate that and take the steps to acknowledge that everyone feels welcome. Then again, it goes the other way as well. So finding that right balance of that it's not that it's only going to be a women-led organization or whatever. It's just, for me, that's what I meant earlier as well. It's not going with pitchforks, meaning everyone feels welcome. And it is, then you can't marginalize men either.
Yes, you
How
can't just
far do you
say,
go? Exactly.
oh, like I think a lot of people, especially when they hear about kind of females standing up for females, it's very much like, oh well, they want women to run the world and all of it. And it's like, yes, obviously there is some people like that, like there is with men, as you
Exactly.
say, but it's just like, no, I want everyone to be equal.
Yeah.
That's
And
all it is. It's just we're having to fight a little bit harder because just of history.
yeah. I mean,
So,
like, I don't talk football.
oh gosh, I would do that. But
I
my sister, absolutely biggest fan ever. But then she's not a tomboy. But then even if she was a tomboy,
no,
it doesn't matter.
no, but like it's yeah, exactly. But it's those are the stereotypes sometimes,
Yeah.
and just breaking the stereotypes
Mhm.
of this is the kind of talk we are going to have in a certain industry.
Yeah.
And but like, there could be a man who doesn't talk football but then is left out of the conversation because I don't know if you watch Friends,
Yes.
where
Yeah.
Rachel can't, she's trying to fit in because, and then her boss smokes and makes all the decisions while they're smoking.
Yeah.
So she starts
it.
smoking.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to say there is you don't need to be someone else to
Don't be a sheep.
belong.
Yeah.
To belong. You just belong.
Mhm.
And
Be
you
yourself, yeah.
and you are working for an organization which makes that easier for you.
Mhm.
And that's why it's important.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't feel an outsider and then you're trying to change yourself to be that person.
Mhm. Mhm.
You should just be who you are and still have
The support.
yeah,
around
support
you.
and be welcomed to contribute.
Mhm. Mhm. No, definitely. So kind of what changes would you kind of personally like to bring to the industry?
Talk about things more. Like, talking about, for example, we touched on spirituality or
Mhm.
a bit of a wellness side, mental health, being open to talk about these things and not be very cagey by calling these things woolly because they're so important.
Mhm.
They are the core of who you are so bringing soul
Yeah.
into business.
Yeah.
We have always created this business to be the strong exterior macho image, but having a softer side for business is something I would like to see happen more and more.
Definitely. Yeah. No.
Because it's needed more than ever. Our work and life has, thanks to the laptops and technologies we are using,
Non-stop.
which are incredible.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
FaceTime, I can speak to my parents anytime and so on. So
There's
I'm
no
very
hiding.
grateful. Yeah, exactly. Very grateful for all of that. But also on the flip side, it makes us very vulnerable and
Mhm.
open. We are living in a glass bubble. So things need to change
Yeah.
in business to reflect that, because people are vulnerable. So let's support each other.
Mhm.
Let's not try to create that hard exterior. And I can only do that by showing my vulnerability.
Yeah.
So my team members know that it's okay.
That they can be vulnerable as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I really agree with you. And I think as the stress of life only enhances and it's only going to get kind of more and more. And obviously with COVID, working from home became more of an option. So now to kind of
It's
check your
blurred,
emails
isn't
on your
it?
phone, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is check my emails.
So
Just-
I've started the rule. I'm not checking my phone.
Oh, God.
So the first thing I do, that's why I do meditation and
Yeah.
breathing first thing.
Mhm.
So that gives me the half an hour gap before I touch my phone.
And then it's like, and here we go.
Exactly. So
But at least you've had that half an hour.
exactly. So, but yeah, because as soon as you wake up, the amount of information we take in right now is in, what was it, in the 15th century or something, what we take in a day is what they would take in a lifetime or more.
Oh my God.
That's what we take in a day.
But then
The
just
amount
to
of
think how
overload.
much our brain
And
is
we have not
developed.
evolved yet that
Yeah,
much.
that's true.
Because it takes millions of years to evolve.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the easy life. Maybe it's living in the wrong era.
yeah. So that's what I mean. So for us, it's like to acknowledge that and be able to open the doors for each other.
Yeah. And taking time for yourself and looking after your mental well-being and others around you and being there to support
So
people
key.
inside the office as well as outside is such a key thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to get overwhelmed right now.
Oh gosh, yeah. I know. Well, I was on holiday a couple of weeks ago and I sat on a Teams call for 2 hours. But it needs to be done. It needs to be done.
Yeah.
But it's know when to stop. Yeah, it's getting the right balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
So kind of looking back at your career, is there anything at all you would change? I mean, you don't have to say yes, but
I wouldn't actually.
that's a good thing.
Yeah,
it's not something.
Yeah, because I've made some amazing friends.
Mhm.
I wouldn't call them colleagues because they're family friends now. We have holidays together and spend time together. Yeah. And again, I'm just very grateful. Some things worked out, some things didn't work out, but then you learn from them.
Exactly.
And failure is a funny thing, and I keep on talking to my son about it
Mhm.
because he'll take part in competitions and not win.
Yeah.
And
If you're
I'm
not
always
first, you last, sort of thing.
well, I kind of am of the belief system that when you fail is where you're learning, because if you're
Yeah.
winning, you're not learning, you're just like doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Whereas when you fail, you kind of learn to pivot, to be agile and learn, like, be flexible. And what do I need to do
next?
to
Yeah.
get there, if that's what you want to do.
Mhm.
But like, you learn that basic skill set of life to maneuver yourself.
Mhm.
And not be, if you're just constantly winning things, you would get on the streak where you become a bit complacent, and
Yeah.
that's the outset of your life. Imagine at that age, and then when failure happens to you in life, you suddenly don't know how to
It's
deal
a
with
panic,
it.
yeah. Because
Because
that was the thing with my sister and I. So I always had to work hard for my exams. I would still come out with good grades, but I had to work for it. Whereas my sister, she skipped a year and was just an ingenious. And so she never worked for GCSEs or A levels. And then it was only when she went to university, she found it as a big shock because not that she necessarily became complacent, but she was just so easy to going into an exam and being like, it just went in. Like she was just one of
And
those
then-
people. Whereas I found it an easier transition because I'd always had to put in the hours of revision
and perhaps find the answers. Whereas in university, in school, you're given most of the stuff.
Yeah.
And then university, suddenly you're left on your own.
Yeah. You have a couple of contact hours and then it's like, there we go.
Yeah. And then if you have not had that to find the answers, then you're like, oh my God, where do I start?
Yeah.
Exactly. So funny, we pick up the same words.
Great minds think alike.
There you go. So yeah, I'm very grateful. And I guess the message would be the same, that, our journey and our milestones make who we are.
Yeah.
So would I change something? No, because I wouldn't be who I am.
And you wouldn't be where you are today.
No. And even if I wasn't doing this, I would be somewhere. But it's just like, you look back, and I think it was Steve Jobs or someone said that, like, all those pivotal times in your life, it doesn't make sense at that point in time when you're looking and you're sometimes thinking, what hell am I doing? Sorry.
Oh, no,
you can cut that out.
Yeah.
What am I doing with my life? But then you look back and you now look at that decision,
That's happened
that
for a reason.
happened. Yeah, exactly. And this is why I'm doing what I'm doing now. Maybe I make different decisions in the future, but
which could be because that had happened in the past. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast. It's been a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been amazing. And you have done great work in getting some questions out of me. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the GSC Executives Podcast. Today's conversation was hosted and recorded by Caitlin Ty, with editing and production managed by Stephen Smith. The podcast is produced by GSC Executives in conjunction with Daniel Owen Limited. For more details about our executive search solutions, as well as upcoming episodes, please visit our website gscexecutives.co.uk. If you're keen to hear more industry insights, please consider subscribing on your preferred podcast platform. Until next time, continue to lead with excellence.